Imagine a world where your tattoos are not just ink on skin, but a lifelong commitment, a symbol of an unbreakable bond where leaving means surgically erasing your past. Stay tuned as we delve into 20 brutal Comanchero rules that are mandatory. In the secretive realm of motorcycle clubs, the Comancheros stand apart. Founded in Sydney, Australia in 1966, this club has etched its name in the annals of biker history. But what really sets them apart? It's their stringent, unyielding rules that govern every aspect of membership. Rule 1. Being a man. The Comanchero Motorcycle Club is strictly for men. Women can't become official members. However, women still play an important part in the club's social life. These women, often called old ladies, are usually the wives or girlfriends of the club members. They are regularly seen at club events and gatherings, showing their support. Even though they don't have the same status as the male members, their presence is valued and they contribute to the club's community feel. This rule shows how the club balances its traditional male-only membership with the involvement of women in a supportive role. Rule 2. Unanimous approval. Becoming a member of the Comanchero Motorcycle Club is not easy. It's not just about filling out a form or paying a fee. Every single member of the club has to agree to let a new person join. This means that every existing member must vote yes for someone to become part of the club. For those who want to join, known as prospects, there's a big challenge ahead. They need to travel and visit every local group of the club, known as a charter. This journey is really important because it shows how committed and serious they are about joining. It's a way for prospects to prove they are willing to put in the effort and time to be part of the Comanchero family. Rule 3. No ties to law enforcement. The club maintains a strict boundary against those with law enforcement connections. This includes anyone who has abused children or those who have aspired to be police officers or jail guards. Rule 4. Ownership of patches and vests. In the Comanchero Motorcycle Club, the patches and vests members wear are much more than just clothing. They are powerful symbols of loyalty and belonging to the club. Each patch and vest tells a story of commitment and is a badge of honor. These items are so important that they are actually owned by the club, not the individual member. This means if someone leaves the club or breaks the rules, they can't keep their patches and vests. They have to give them back because they represent a deep connection to the club and its values. Rule 5. Respect for relationships. The Comanchero Motorcycle Club takes relationships very seriously. They have a strict rule. No member is allowed to have romantic or sexual relationships with the partners of other members. If someone breaks this rule, the consequences are really serious. This rule is all about respecting each other and maintaining trust within the club. It helps to prevent conflicts and keeps the club's brotherhood strong. But what happens when a member decides to leave the club? How far does the Comanchero go to maintain their code of secrecy and loyalty? The answer might shock you. Rule 6. Code of silence. In the Comanchero Club, keeping secrets is a big deal. Members must never talk about club business with anyone outside the club, especially not with journalists or on social media. This rule of silence is really strict. It's about protecting the club and making sure its private matters stay private. This helps to keep the club's activities and plans away from public eyes and ensures that all members are committed to the club's confidentiality. Rule 7. Prohibition of intravenous drugs. While smoking and drinking are permissible, the club draws a hard line at intravenous drug use. This rule underscores the club's emphasis on loyalty and order. Rule 8. Mandatory attendance. For the Comanchero, showing up is key. Every member must be at all club meetings and events. It's their way of proving loyalty. If someone misses a meeting or an event without a good reason, they have to pay a fine. This rule makes sure that everyone in the club is committed and takes their membership seriously. It's about being there for the club and each other, no matter what. Rule 9. Riding in order. Even the riding formation is governed by rules, reflecting the club's hierarchy. The president leads, followed by other ranked members with prospects at the rear. Rule 10. Lifetime commitment. Joining the Comanchero Motorcycle Club is a forever thing. Once you're in for life. It's not like joining a club that you can leave whenever you want. This lifelong commitment shows the deep, unbreakable bond between the members. It's a promise that lasts even after a member passes away, showing just how strong and lasting their brotherhood is. Rule 11. No disrespecting club colors. Members must fiercely defend their club colors or patches against any form of disrespect. These symbols are not just fabric, they represent the club's honor and legacy. Rule 12. Protection of club property. In the Comanchero Club, protecting what belongs to the club is everyone's job. Whether you're a full member, a nominee, or just starting out as a prospect, you have to look after the club's stuff. This means taking care of the patches, the places where they meet, clubhouses, and anything else the club owns. It's about respecting and safeguarding everything that represents the club, showing that members value and take responsibility for their club's assets. Rule 13. Removal of tattoos for departing members. Leaving the Comanchero is not a simple process. Members who decide to leave must have their club-related tattoos surgically removed, symbolizing a complete severance from the club. Rule 14. Secrecy and loyalty. Above all, the Comanchero Club takes secrecy very seriously. Every member has to follow the code of silence without exception. They can't talk to reporters or tell anyone outside the club what goes on inside. This rule keeps everything the club does a secret, making sure that their activities and plans are known only to members. It's a big part of showing loyalty to the club and keeping its business private and protected. Rule 15. Prohibition of intravenous drugs. While some forms of substance use are tolerated, the club strictly prohibits the use of intravenous drugs. This rule is in place to ensure members remain focused and loyal to the club's cause. Rule 16. Mandatory weekly meetings. For the Comanchero, their weekly meetings, which they often call church, are a must attend. Every member has to be there. These meetings are really important because they keep everyone in the club on the same page and help maintain order. It's a time when members come together, discuss club matters, and strengthen their bonds. Missing these meetings isn't taken lightly, as they are essential for keeping the club united and disciplined. Rule 17. Fines for absence. The club enforces strict discipline. Members who miss meetings or events without a valid reason are subject to fines, emphasizing the importance of commitment and presence. Rule 18. Riding in order reflecting hierarchy. The club's strict hierarchy is evident even in their riding formations. The president leads, followed by other officers and members, with prospects at the end, ensuring order and unity. Rule 19. No infiltration by law enforcement. The Comanchero are very clear about one thing. No one with a history in law enforcement can join. This means if you've ever worked as a police officer or in any similar role, you can't be part of the club. This rule is super important for keeping the club's activities secret and running smoothly. It's all about trust and making sure that the club stays private, away from the eyes of the law. This way, the club can maintain its own way of life without outside interference. Rule 20. Triumvirate leadership structure. The Comanchero Motorcycle Club runs on a unique leadership system called the Triumvirate. This structure includes the presidents of different local groups, called chapters, and a national sergeant-at-arms. They work together to make big decisions and keep everything under control. This way of organizing things makes sure that the club has strong, centralized leadership. It helps in making important decisions efficiently and ensures that all chapters of the club are aligned and working together towards common goals. The Comanchero Motorcycle Club's rules paint a picture of an organization where loyalty, secrecy, and brotherhood are not just words, but a way of life. These rules are not mere guidelines. They are the pillars that have upheld the club's notorious reputation for decades. But let's circle back to our initial question. What happens to those who leave the Comanchero? The process is as intense as their initiation. Members who decide to part ways must undergo a literal erasure of their past, with club-related tattoos surgically removed. This final act of separation is a stark reminder of the club's unyielding nature, a testament to the seriousness of their lifelong commitment. What do you think about such an intense level of dedication? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Imagine a world in which a single encounter can start a violent rivalry and devotion turns fatal. This is the terrifying truth of Mick Hawi's life, not a work of fiction. However, who would have the audacity to murder Australia's most notorious biker boss? Watch closely as we solve this riddle. Mick Hawi. Born in Beirut, Lebanon on May 9, 1980, Mahmoud Hawi and his family sought safety in Sydney, Australia, from the chaos caused by the Lebanese Civil War. With this move, Hawi started a trajectory that would eventually take him to the top of the Comanchero, one of Australia's most infamous outlaw motorcycle groups. Hawi grew up in the suburbs of Sydney, where he regarded his upbringing as modest yet boring. He was well known for his large, robust stature at Punchbowl Boys High School. Although his early years appeared normal, a storm was building underneath. Hawi's life changed dramatically in 1999 when he joined the Comanchero Motorcycle Club at the age of 19. He put himself on a collision course with fate with this decision. When William Jock Ross created the Comanchero in 1968, it was first a fraternity for motorcycle riders who felt rejected by society. But under Ross's direction, it developed into a group that was closely associated with illegal activity, such as drug trafficking and bloody turf conflicts. Hawi established himself as the club's leader right away with his commanding presence and captivating personality. Hawi's ambition and thirst for power culminated in a daring and ruthless act in 2002. He organized a group of younger members to overthrow Ross. Hawi and his friends gave Ross a thorough crushing, taking possession of his Harley-Davidson and club colors. This was more than just an attempt to seize power. Hawi took over as the new national president and supreme commander of the Comanchero. The Comanchero increased their operations and engaged in more illegal activity when he was in charge. Hawi's combination of ruthlessness and charisma throughout his reign won him both enemies and allegiance. On March 22, 2009, the Comanchero and Hells Angels clashed violently at Sydney Airport. This horrific confrontation not only claimed the life of Anthony Zervas, but it also thrust Hawi into the dangerous national spotlight. On that day, both Hawi and Derek Wainohu, the Hells Angels' Australian national president, happened to be on the same flight from Melbourne to Sydney. Words were exchanged during the flight, and by the time they landed, both leaders had texted their gang members, calling for backup at the airport. What ensued was a public and savage battle, shocking bystanders and security personnel alike. The fight was brutal and unrelenting. Gang members used metal bollards, meant for crowd control, as weapons, turning the airport terminal into a battleground. Amidst the chaos, Anthony Zervas, the brother of a Hells Angel member, was viciously beaten and ultimately lost his life. This public display of violence shattered the image of bikie gangs as mere rebellious outcasts and exposed the dangerous reality of their existence. Law authorities had Hawi right in their sights because of his role in the altercation and Zervas's subsequent death. In addition to his involvement in the airport incident, he rose to prominence in Australia as a symbol of the growing threat posed by outlaw motorcycle gangs. The tragedy changed the face of organized crime in Australia by sparking a national crackdown on bikie groups. 2 years after the infamous airport fight, in 2011, Hawi was confronted with the full weight of the law. Anthony Zervas's murder was the charge against him, and he was found guilty. The trial was a well-publicized case that attracted a lot of media coverage and public interest. Law enforcement celebrated Hawi's conviction as a major win in the ongoing war against organized crime and violence by biker gangs. This triumph, though, was fleeting. In 2014, there was a significant reversal of Hawi's murder conviction. The evidence used in the trial was deemed insufficient by the New South Wales Court of Criminal Appeal to support the murder conviction. The public and legal community were taken aback by this ruling, which called into question how well the legal system handles organized crime. After his murder conviction was overturned, Hawi and the Crown worked out a plea agreement. On the lesser allegation of manslaughter in connection with Zervas's death, he entered a guilty plea. Hawi's tactical choice to enter this plea helped him avoid facing the murder charge again. But it was a choice that would follow him around for the rest of his life. He received a sentence that included a maximum term of 6 years and 2 months, as well as a 3-year and 6-month non-parole period. The difficulties and complexity involved in prosecuting prominent members of organized crime were brought to light by Hawi's conviction and the subsequent dismissal of his murder accusation. His story came to represent the continuous conflict between the police and the criminal motorcycle gangs. It also emphasized how arbitrary the legal system is, with decisions often depending on how evidence is interpreted and technicalities. On February 15, 2018, Hawi was gunned murdered in broad daylight, putting a devastating end to his chaotic life. The day was like any other for Hawi, who had tried to keep a low profile since being released from prison. He went to the Fitness First gym in Rockdale, a suburb of Sydney, for his normal workout. Unbeknownst to him, it would be his final. As Hawi returned to his car, a gunman approached and fired multiple close-range rounds, wounding him in the head and body. The onslaught was savage and precise, leaving no opportunity for survival. Bystanders and rescue personnel were racing to Hawi's aid as the murder scene descended into chaos. The extent of his injuries was too severe for them to handle. After being taken to St. George Hospital in severe condition, Hawi passed away from his wounds, leaving a violent and contentious legacy. The murder of Hawi was the subject of a thorough inquiry. Important evidence was provided by local CCTV cameras, but the gunman's identity remained a mystery. There were several theories on the assassination's motivation. Was it a case of competing gangs exacting revenge, internal bikie politics, or something more intimate? Yusuf Nazlioglu, a former close friend and associate of Mick Hawi, emerged as the main suspect in the intricate network of theories and suspects that characterized the inquiry into his assassination. Their formerly close relationship had soured over what appeared to be a minor incident during a fishing excursion. Following their falling out, there were rumors that Nazlioglu, feeling betrayed and degraded, may have sought the ultimate retribution. But the issue remained. Were there more sinister, deeper forces at work here? Or was this just a simple case of personal betrayal? In the months following of the incident, theories abound. There were conjectures that the homicide stemmed from internal conflict within the Comanchero organization. Rivals may have boiled beneath the surface due to power vacuums caused by Hawi's leadership and subsequent exit from the team. Others wondered if rival gangs might have been involved, considering Hawi's past and the Comancheros' tense connections with other biker factions. The world of biker politics is notoriously opaque and nuanced, making it challenging to identify a single incentive or offender. The real mastermind behind Hawi's murder remained elusive despite protracted police investigations, a plethora of interviews, and the examination of CCTV material. With every explanation regarding the case being equally credible, it was a maze of possible reasons and suspects. The public and law enforcement were left with unanswered questions as a result of the lack of clear proof and definitive leads, which further served to deepen the mystery. The death of Mick Hawi brought attention to the chaotic and often dangerous realm of criminal motorcycle gangs. It emphasized the fact that loyalty can mean the difference between life and death in this murky underworld, and that alliances are brittle. His murder remains unsolved, posing a gloomy reminder of the lawlessness and unpredictability of gang disputes to those who seek justice and closure. The real mastermind behind Hawi's murder is still unknown despite in-depth investigations and prosecutions. Was it a gang feud, an internal power struggle within the Comancheros, or an act of revenge from a former friend? What do you believe to be the true reason behind the murder of Mick Hawi? Post your ideas in the comments section below.